What's good, everyone? Welcome back to My First Kicks. This is episode 153, and this week we welcome Jacques Slade to the podcast. That's right, not a typo. This is legit. Shout out to Kari for helping making this happen. It's an absolute honor. Jacques has been one of the first people I've ever adamantly watched on YouTube, especially when it came to sneakers. His passion, his love for it, just his insight, and also his in depth, like, reviews of sneakers was something that once I found them, I just could not put down ever. And this is a monumental moment. We talk about everything from how much of an inspiration he is to a lot of people on YouTube that do these sneaker reviews, that do these sneaker type content. He talks about his process, how he got to where he is, just his overall hustle in this game and how it exploded to what it is that he is now and what it is now and who he is now. It's just like a really cool full circle moment. I got to learn a lot about sneakers through him overall, and having a chance to actually learn about Jacques was a great moment and a pivotal moment for this podcast. I mean, shout out to everyone listening, and if this is your first time listening to this podcast, you have a lot of episodes to go and look back towards, because this is 153 and currently there are 143 episodes up. Some got deleted. I don't think I'll ever put them back up. So, Joey Brams, I'm sorry if you're listening to this because episode one is definitely gone. But thank you for tuning in. And if you're new, I hope you're here for a long time because I have lots of stories to uncover. I want to say that's the word that's the phrase I'm gonna use, and the word I'm gonna use. Let's uncover these stories. Let's talk about people's stories. And if you have a My First Kick story, you can write in myfirstkickspod@gmail.com. But it's been a wild, wild week. I know last week I announced that I was going to do a live show with AD Sneaks talking about sneakers of the year. I had to cancel that because I started a new job, and it just the prep to get out of my old job or hand off my old job, my old work, was a very long process, and I should have put more time into the show itself and getting it ready, but it wasn't possible. So me and AD are gonna reconvene and pick a different date. I don't know if it's gonna be this coming week or it's gonna be next like in January, but be on the lookout for that. It's gonna be promoted on all socials. And if you haven't seen, please go watch my episode of the Inconsistent Pod with me and Rob Hayes. Rob Hayes interviews me, and we have a hell of a chat. I mean, it's why he posted this clip that I wanted him to post, which is him talking about Limp Bizkit, Fred Durst, and Fred Durst and the the Yankee fitted, but it's been going a little bit wild on the socials, and I would love for it to just continue to go wild. So please be on the lookout for everything and anything that pertains to me and also to Jacques. So on to where you can find Jacques. You can find him on all social medias as at Cousteau. That's Kustoo. I'm pretty sure everybody that listens to this is already following him. And make sure you check out his YouTube. It's pivotal content that is often copied, but always lacks the Jacques, the meat, which is Jacques himself. And I love his content, so please give him a follow. Also, all his links will be in the description of this podcast so that you don't have to look around. But if you want to follow your boy, follow me at who is Haas on all social medias. That's who is Haas. Follow. the podcast at My First Kicks Pod on all social medias. Follow the podcast on TikTok at My First Kicks. And please, please, please subscribe, like this video if you're watching it on YouTube right now. And if you're not watching, please go to YouTube and put in My First Kicks and follow and subscribe and like everything that's there. I don't know why I've said follow, but sure, follow it. Subscribe, hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up for your boys, as CP the franchise would say. But on to this week's guest, Jacques Slade. Hey, Cousteau, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, man. Appreciate being here.
No, man, this is a gigantic honor. You're not going to remember this, so I saved this just for when we started recording. But last year at ComplexCon, I asked you to jump on an episode of my podcast, and you said, "Yeah." You gave me one of these, and then you just walked away.
Oh, I apologize. I apologize for that.
No, it's all good. I was like, I used to have Iffy and Wadway used to be the co-host on this podcast, and when he was on, I was like, "Can you please get Jacques on?" I was like, begging, because he worked with you on something. I think it was Fresh Stock. I think he said that you did something on Fresh Stock with him.
Yeah.
And I was like, "You're one of like you." Ever since I started, I was like, "I want to talk to Jacques so bad," or like, I've been watching. I've been watching videos since you started, and yeah, like, so super huge honor. But for people who are listening don't know who you are, which I highly doubt, how about you introduce yourself?
I'm Jacques Slade. I am a creator on the internet. I started out unboxing sneakers and doing sneaker reviews way back in 2010 when I was working at Kicks on Fire, and I started doing it on my own in 2013, and since then, it's expanded into a bunch of different things. I've been able to do stuff on TV. I've been able to fly around the world. I've been able to host stuff for the Olympics. I've been able to work with the PGA Tour. I've been able to work with a bunch of different brands. It's just been a really amazing journey, and I feel like there's a lot more to it and a lot more to do. So it's an exciting. I'm in an exciting place right now.
No, yeah, I mean, every week I did, I don't know. Did you really? I forgot the name of the show that you were doing every week.
The
week in sneakers review. Yes, that.
Yeah.
So I'll be straight up with you. I have to stop watching a lot of content because I end up bringing it into the podcast, so it kind of skews a lot of my. So I'll go through, like, I'll let them like build up, and then I'll be like, all right, now I'm gonna run through them. I don't have to record like 4 episodes, and so yeah, I'll be good. But I mean, I was loving your just being like up to date with the sneakers, because like it was reminiscent. I mean, we talked about Russ. You have the book right behind you. I also have the book right behind me too. But and I'm pretty sure you remember Quick Strike, and Quick Strike was like, we talked about it on his episode, and it's such a like a pivotal moment of like when you thought, like, I thought that there's more to sneakers than just staying out on the lines and getting stuff, like he really opened the door for that, and you also opened the door for that, because when you started doing your videos on YouTube, a lot of people, I feel like you influenced a lot of people.
Well, thank you for the comment. There were a lot of us doing it back then, and I was one of the few back then, and so obviously we know now there's a lot more. But it's really exciting to be a part of the world and be a part of like the world building, I guess you could say. Feels like I was part of like if like you compare it to Marvel, I was like one of the Iron Man, like the early Iron Man, to kind of help build the world for sneakers.
Yeah, you were the Robert Downey but you're here to answer the question that I ask everybody each week, and that question is, what's your first kicks? What's that first pair of sneakers you absolutely needed to have?
So the first pair that I absolutely needed to have, there was a couple pair that I wanted before this pair, but the pair that I absolutely needed to have was the Air Max 95. I remember and the neon Air Max 95, Air
Oh.
Max Steve specific. I
Mhm.
remember I was in the mall walking past the store. I don't know, I don't remember if it was a Foot Locker or some other random sneaker store at the time. But I walked past and like
Mhm.
I saw it out like the corner of my eye, and it like literally like stopped me in my tracks, like oh what wait what was that kind of thing. And
Mhm.
so like that's the first sneaker that I had that sort of like visceral reaction to. And I have a pair now. As much as I loved it at that moment, I probably haven't worn a pair in like 10 years or something like that.
Mhm.
But at that time, at that moment, it struck me as like, this is incredible. I need a pair of these. How do I save up to get some?
Mhm. For the listeners, let me read a little. I'm going to read the 2020 reissue just to give the listeners a little background on the shoe if they're not familiar. I mean, it's one of my favorite 95s. Minus the stash 95s. Those are my legit favorite 95s, but I will
Okay.
never own one of those. I could probably get one of these. The 2020 reissue of the Nike Air Max 95 OG Neon brings back the iconic original colorway of the Retro Runner, the first model in the vaunted Air Max lineup to feature visible 4-foot air cushioning. Designed by Sergio Lozano,
Oh yeah,
the sneaker's unique appearance is inspired by human anatomy, highlighted by graduated side panels that mimic the look of striated muscle fibers. The laces and neon eyelets, meanwhile, call to there's so many commas in here. Meanwhile,
yeah,
call to a mind of the mind of rib cage. I don't know why it says it that way. Reflective detailing at the tongue and heel tab provides added visibility in low light conditions.
yeah. It's a crazy design. Like it felt so out of the box back then.
Mm-hmm.
Now it obviously feels normal, but back then it felt so different and so unique, that it was just one of those things that just stop you. It's almost like, I don't know, like when you're a kid and you see that BMX bike that you really want, is like it just kind of had that kind of moment for me. But it was a pair of sneakers.
When you see that Huffy, you're like
Yeah,
Huffy, that
yeah.
Huffy.
I need that. I need that.
Man, I mean, where'd you grow up originally? Because I
I
mean,
grew up in the LA for those that don't know about
mhm.
California, but the Valley for those that know about LA.
And like, I mean, the during that time, I guess how big was sneakers during that time when you were growing up in the valley?
Um, it was, I mean, it was pretty big just because most of the people that I hung around played basketball,
Mm-hmm.
and like sneakers are just kind of a natural extension of basketball. Even like no matter what grade level you are, it always feels like sneakers are like a part of the basketball conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So all the people that I hung with played basketball. Like all of my friends played ball. My older cousins played basketball. All his friends played basketball. So I was basically surrounded by basketball, and
Mm-hmm.
so that helped. I think that they all talked about sneakers or what they were wearing or what they were playing in or what we were playing in. Like that always kind of that was always a part of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So
Were you able to play ball or?
yeah. I played ball through high school, played varsity in high school. I wasn't good
Mhm.
enough to play in college. I still play
I
every
mean,
once in a while.
not many
Um,
people on here have said I played varsity ball. So
so that's funny. That is funny. Yeah. I play ball. I mean, I still play every once in a while.
Mhm.
It's hands down my favorite sport. I know I
No,
do a ton of golf stuff now, but if I could play basketball the rest of my life, I would play basketball the rest of my life.
no, I mean, one thing I love about, and it's what got me towards like, wear tester content. Like, it was always that you looked into models and for their functions,
Yeah,
and so a lot of that, like, I mean, that's you influence my buying in terms of just like, okay, if I'm gonna buy a basketball sneaker, all right, I need to do like legit research on
do
this.
some research. Yeah, because like I mean, you want to get better, like, and that's part. You feel like that's part of the equation, especially when you play ball. It's like, okay, does this have more air? Is this going to be more cushion? Is this going to help me cut better? You know, I'm only 5'10", 5'10", 5'11" on a good day, so it
Mhm.
wasn't like I needed like impact protection, but I needed something that could help me move quick because I was smaller. You know what I mean? So it was like that's kind of the vibe.
I mean, I want to see you. Jacques just like yamming on somebody, just like in the court, just be like,
I don't know if I can still dunk. I probably last time I dunked was probably like 3 or 4 years ago.
you
So
still got it. You still got bunnies. It's all
I
right.
don't know. I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to see. I feel like I feel like I probably still could get
Put
in
on
a
some
good game.
Tatums. You just got to put on
Right.
some Tatums, and then it's it. You're good to go.
Yeah, wear the GT jump or something. Like
Yeah,
give me the little extra boost or something. Get me
that
right.
I was obsessed with those for a good bit. I think in 2021 they started like pushing them really heavy on Instagram, and I was like, I think I got to do it. I think I got to do it. I never pulled the pulled the trigger on it because they were always 250, and I was like, this is too much.
Yeah, they're mad expensive. I don't know what Nike was thinking. I have a pair. I found a random pair on eBay
Mhm.
for like half price, and I still haven't played in them. I think they're in my storage unit. I don't even think they're in the room now. I think they're in my storage unit now.
There you go. You pull out the Zoom GTs. You take a video of you dunking. We'll post it on the Instagram, and then we go.
Yeah, post it on the gram if you're done with it. Just get one in.
Oh man, what was your first job? In order for you to buy. Well, what was your first job in general?
Gosh, my first job. Well, I guess technically my first job was working with my uncle.
Mm-hmm.
My uncle is an electrician, and he used to make me and my cousin go work with him on the weekends. So I guess technically that was my first job.
Mm-hmm.
But my first like non-family job was I was working at the park. I worked at I think at Pacoima Park. It was a summer job. I worked at Pacoima Park and help run like the summer camp stuff
Oh
like
yeah,
that. Yeah.
that's dope. And then, I mean, I don't know if you were like super into sneakers during that time, but like, were you copping kicks? Were you looking for what's
No,
coming
no,
out?
I was what 14. So I didn't have money to be like spending on sneakers back then.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I wasn't copping kicks back then.
So then, what was the moment that pulled you back in, and you were like, all right, because if the 95s was like the taste,
Yeah,
you got a little bit on the plate right there, and it's not like you were instantly pulled into sneaker culture then. So like, what was
yeah.
it? What was that moment for
I
you?
would say, I think it kind of happened over time because, like, I remember when I was younger, one of my cousin's friends had a pair of Jordan 4s,
Mm-hmm.
and he played ball in them, and he kind of beat him up a little bit, and he was done with them, and he gave them to me. So like that was like my first like oh okay, this is dope. But then obviously talking about sneakers and seeing other people have sneakers, and
Mm-hmm.
then seeing people, your friends play in sneakers, and then the 95s, and then the 11s, all caught my attention. And like the Converse Weapon, I had a pair of Converse Weapons. I remember when I was really young. I remember I had a
Mm-hmm.
pair of those. So I think it was all kind of happening over time, and then like uh the passion really picked back up when I started working in sneakers back in 2009. Like I was doing it and buying stuff here and there, but nothing crazy. But then 2009 when I started working in sneakers, like I was immersed in it, like you just couldn't get away from it. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's when I shouldn't say I think that's when things really ramped up.
Were you? Was it? Did you pick up the job, or were you like, oh, I'm getting into sneakers. Like, I'm
No, I
gonna
just
work
kind of
as a.
picked up the job. So my
Mm-hmm.
homegirl Jazz, she was working for Kicks on Fire
Mm-hmm.
already, and she was
Shout out
like, "Yo,
Jazz.
yeah, shout out Jazz."
Mm-hmm.
She was like, "You like sneakers, and you can write." She was like, "You should do this. You should, do this." And I was like, "I don't know if that's like, I don't want to be talking about sneakers all the time. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
love them. Like, it's my, it was because it was like that's my kind of like my thing. You know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
like when you, it's even like even now it's weird like to have sneakers be like my job.
Mm-hmm.
It like it almost feels like I'm sharing a part of myself with the world. Like and back then I was kind of like I don't know, like if that's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
You're like,
so
this
Jazz,
is for me. This is
yeah,
just
yeah,
for
yeah.
me.
It's like my own personal way to express myself. Like that was like just how I express myself personally.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I started writing about them, and over time it was just like, all right, well, this is my job now. And then it kind of became a career as it is now, and so things just changed.
No, I mean, yeah, you posted on Twitter your email
Yeah, I just
to
did.
Nice Kicks. It's funny because I had Don Will on, and he talked about his time at Nice Kicks as well,
Yeah,
and it's crazy to see how far. like the beginning people that started Nice
Yeah,
Kicks have gone. I mean,
yeah.
it's the trajectories are so different. Jazz Ray's doing like crazy stuff with sneakers now.
Yep.
Activations and releasing sneakers, creating her own sneaker. You're continuously putting out amazing content, and you're doing like I mean, you've done like charities, you've done like,
Yeah.
a ton of stuff. I mean, and then you got Don Will uh DJing,
Rapper, DJ.
DJing for Jill Scott. Like
Right? Yeah. It's interesting because like we all started at Kicks on Fire,
Mhm.
and it just went a bunch of different directions. It's wild. Yeah.
That I mean, it's beautiful. So like the early times of like when you were just doing that and you were working at Kicks on Fire. I mean, that's like when I started getting like super heavy into like being online a little too much during
Yeah,
that
yeah,
time.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
But did you expect, or did you think that sneakers were ever going to be come into the mainstream while you were doing it?
No, not at all. I never thought it would be what it is today. I guess I kind of hoped that it would be
Hmm.
because as I got more into like the professional world of sneakers, you kind of saw how people looked at sneakers and like the negative connotation kind of attached to it.
Hmm.
So at that point, I think it kind of switched for me a little bit. It was like I want people to understand why we love these things so much, like the tech, the style, the
Hmm.
look, the way they make us feel, the way they allow us to express ourselves. I wanted people to be able to experience that portion of it. So I hoped that it would grow to the point where it is now. um I get it was but now seeing that how it got here, that is obviously not how you want to see it get here.
Yeah.
It's almost like having a genie and you have three wishes and you're like, I wish that everyone would love sneakers just as much as I do. And then they make it happen, but you don't, but there's
But
ramifications
you're
of
like,
all
wait,
these
wait, wait.
wait, that's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. But it is what it is.
That's what happens when Will Smith is the genie for
That
you.
that is that's what happens when Will Smith is the genie.
I want my genie to be Sinbad. Go back
Yeah,
to Sinbad.
yeah. Ah, that's funny. That's
Oh
funny.
man. The so like in that time you're in the like the craziness that's of sneakers becoming going into the mainstream, and like were you collecting heavily at that time, or were you just like, what, I'm gonna just stick to just only getting free pairs, like, I mean, not assuming that you got a ton of free pairs, but like I know there are people who wrote and then they're like, yo, I got these and I'm keeping them, like, but like
Yeah. I
what
mean,
what was
for
it for
me,
you?
it was a mix of the two. I mean, obviously, I got free pairs to review, but
Hmm.
I've always been buying pairs on my own because, like, for more often than not, the brands don't necessarily send you what you want; they
Hmm.
send you what they want you to have.
Hmm.
So, if there's something that I wanted, I had to get those myself.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I've gotten free nothing so far. So I'm just doing this out of the love. So
I love it though. No, that's what it's all about.
but during that time, I mean 2009, and then how long were you at Kings on Fire till
I
like
was there till 2013.
2013? Ooh, I mean, imagine if you stayed till 2016, because I was just talking about the Galaxy Foam Posit and how
Yeah.
that just went. But since you dropped out and then you did, well, dropped out. I don't know why I use that word, but since you left Kicks on Fire and you started doing the YouTubes at that moment, like that landscape of sneaker content was so brand new. So
Yeah.
what inspired you to be like, yo, this is what I'm gonna do?
Well, I actually started YouTube when I was at Kicks on Fire. So
Hmm.
back in 2010, March, March of 2010, I started doing videos for Kicks on Fire of what I call the Kicks on Fire weekly review.
Hmm.
So that whet my appetite for the YouTube stuff. And back then, I was watching a lot of like tech stuff heavy, like phone reviews,
Hmm.
camera reviews, and stuff like that because I was teaching myself how to edit. So all that was kind of adjacent to what I was doing on YouTube.
Hmm.
And so I was inspired by those guys, like, Marquez Brownlee back then, Jonathan Morrison, uh, Unbox Therapy,
Hmm.
like Philip DeFranco, like all of these, like he's not a camera reviewer, but like that, all of those like people in that world, I just seen like all of those people in that world. I was watching them and was like, oh, maybe let me try and do this in the sneaker world. I never knew it would be what it is,
Hmm.
but those were the people that I was watching, and those were the people I was trying to emulate.
And I mean, shoot, you did that. You did that. That's the
Thank you.
yeah, the. I mean, I because it's funny because I was recently watching MKBHD review the Tesla truck, and Marquez has such a it's such a specific like way he does his reviews or he does his
Yeah,
content, and it's MKBHD, and anybody else that does something similar to that, they were like, oh, they're just stealing from Marquez at this point now,
Marquez.
right?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
feel
yeah.
like that I come across a lot of people stealing from your style as well. Uh, I will say it. It's fine.
I'm happy. Well, I'll say this: I'm happy that I was able to inspire folks,
Hmm.
and that because that's really what it's about. I talk about it a lot. Like I just want to show, like I'm just opening the door,
Right. Yeah.
and there should be people after me that do more and better things than I have ever done or could have ever imagined, and like that's what it's all about. So I do I didn't expect, but I knew people would come after me that did things similar to what I did. Because I mean,
Hmm.
that's essentially what I did. I copied tech people, but I just made it about sneakers.
Hmm. And then, well, I was bridging this into a larger question. So the larger question on top of that was, I feel like your content definitely builds community. So how was it when you were first starting, and how were you received in terms of just being like, yo, I'm doing, sneaker content, but tech style and quote unquote, but it's super informative. You're still getting a
Yeah,
lot of into the real nitty gritty storytelling on top of, technique and
yeah.
technique, techni- technical,
Technology, the
yeah,
tech.
technology, yeah, the tech of the shoe. But like, I also think that sneaker culture comes with a lot of community, and during that time, 2009, sneaker culture was like everything was about community, and like,
Yeah,
and it built out to 2013. I think that's when I want to say like 2010, 2011 is like the forums were crazy during that time. Like
yeah.
everybody was on it. So I'm very curious of how did your content also, play into, these people that were just like, oh, sneaker culture.
Yeah, so for me, I knew that I couldn't compete with like Nice Kicks and Sneaker News and
Hmm.
Kicks on Fire in the typical blog world. And that's what really had me really focus on YouTube. So my original idea was I'm going to create a video version of the blogs.
Hmm.
And like that's how I approached it. Um using all like the style and shooting styles of like the tech stuff, I was like, okay, I'll just make a video version of the blogs.
Hmm.
And luckily, because I had done the time at Kicks on Fire, people recognized my face kind of thing. And so it continued to build and grow. I got really lucky. I was in a really lucky place because I had written before,
Hmm.
because I was doing videos for Kicks on Fire. When I started doing on my own, I already had a little bit of a community. I didn't know it back then, but there was already a community that was following me and still messing with me basically. And
Hmm.
so it allowed me to continue to grow. Like I was getting support from Complex and Soul Collector back then, and even Nice Kicks and Kicks on Fire. Every once in a while they would show love, and it really helped me. It really helped me grow because they allowed the content to come out because it was pretty unique back then.
All right, y'all. Y'all know I had to jump back in here to talk about Magic Mind. Magic Mind is back helping me like they did last week and for the foreseeable future every week with my mornings with their super helpful nootropics. You've got ingredients like L-theanine, which is also found in matcha, and I love me a matcha. They also have ashwagandha in it to help decrease that stress, and it helps with dealing with your anxiety on the regular. There's also lion's mane in it, which is all about focusing. Now, if you're like me, which I'm pretty sure a lot of my listeners are, we work and also do stuff after. And Magic Mind helps you become productive while not causing a heavy crash. And this is, I mean this. Like, I'm able to drink a Magic Mind in the morning and not feel like I'm going to fall asleep in the middle of the day. And I think that is the most helpful thing Magic Mind has helped me with, especially during the recording of this podcast. It's even helping me in the recording of every podcast because I'm trying to continue to keep Magic Mind in my everyday life. And what's really interesting is that now I'm starting to see Magic Mind pop up in little stores. Like I mentioned last week, I saw it in California when I went to just a local coffee shop. I wanted a oat milk latte, and they had like a special oat milk latte with like lavender in it, and Magic Mind was in the fridge there, and I had to like stop my friends and be like, yo, Magic Mind, you got to try this out, it's great. And they looked at me crazy. But now that we're starting to see Magic Mind starting to pop everywhere, be sure to find your nearest Sprouts Farmers Market in January of 2024 and pick up a bottle of Magic Mind because they're going to be holding them there and providing you a chance to try Magic Mind on a small scale. But if you want to just jump right in and have a great Magic Mind morning or Magic Mind type of morning, use my link magicmind.com/kickpod and use the code kickpod20 for 50% off of your first subscription for the next 10 days. That's right. If you use my code kickpod20 and subscribe to Magic Mind, you will get 50% off. It's an amazing offer. Please jump on it. And also, you get this one of a kind guarantee if you aren't feeling the magic, because you know I'm feeling the magic. You see how amped I am right now. I'm feeling the magic. But Magic Mind offers a 60-day money back guarantee if you're not feeling it. And I'll be honest, I want you to give it a shot. And I want you to give it a shot today because it's really good. And I really enjoy Magic Mind. So if you are inclined to join me and you want to give it a shot, go to magicmind.com/kickpod and use my code kickpod20 at checkout and join me and Magic Mind today. Yeah, I mean, super unique in my opinion. I mean, we're now because it's hard to explain, especially for like younger listeners who are listening to this. Like the way that we live in this sneaker atmosphere now, it
It wasn't
wasn't
like
like this at all.
yeah.
Like we were waiting for your videos of being like, okay, this is what's coming out. Like, that's where we were at. Like,
Yeah.
we were waiting for, Bullet to be like, yo, this is the shoe, check it out, people like
Yeah,
that.
and the sneaker world was so much smaller back then too.
Mhm.
Like we were getting, a lot of us were only getting like 5, 10,000 views or something like that, and would be excited about it. You know what I mean? Like that was the pinnacle of things.
So I definitely want to know where have in that time frame, especially starting your page, where has sneakers have taken you? And that
Like I mean, like what do you mean by that?
like you're like I'm talking about like just from like 2009 to I want to say like 14, 15, maybe 16. Like where have like where did you get into like some crazy events during that time because you were writing about sneakers or
Um,
you know?
I didn't get into. I wouldn't say I got. Yeah, well, I got into some cool thing. Like a lot, most of it was like just them. Like I was on really cool seating list
Mhm.
as opposed to like me going to events. But I think like I went to a couple of All Star weekends because of sneakers. Um, Back then, I got invited to like launch events for like KD and LeBron and Derrick Rose and like all of those guys. Like I got invited to a lot of those like launch events and got a
Mhm.
chance to talk to those guys. I got to interview Kobe, got to interview KD, got to interview Dwayne Wade. Like all of those were part of that those early years that helped kind of form my channel.
And like did that make your appreciation for sneakers stronger or was it just like, you know, next thing, on to the next thing?
It I think it definitely made my appreciation for sneakers stronger because like at some of those like launch events, I got to actually sit down with the designer of the
Mhm.
shoe and like really learn about every little thing about a lot of these shoes. And that makes a world of difference. You know what I mean? Like it's one
Mhm.
thing to be like to see what they tell you on the Nike news or the PR releases, but it's another thing to sit down with the designer and have a conversation because then you really get the nitty gritty and you really get the thought process behind how some of this stuff works,
Mhm.
and that that just helps me as a storyteller and as a reviewer because it provides me with the tools to really explain to you guys, the community, some of the things that Nike won't necessarily say, but I can say them, kind of
Mhm.
thing.
I mean, that's wild. Once, because I don't know any sneaker designers at all. So that's like I said, your content was always like super helpful in that aspect of learning about functionality at a like a tech level,
Yeah,
you know. And it's interesting because now we're at this point, you know, we're at this point where now we're getting early looks of stuff and it's all just do should we care? Why were people caring? I'm very curious of just like, you know, now that the way we see content has been being pushed out now, what gives you the the motivation to make the content that you do currently? I mean, we you know, you do the look inside sneakers closet
yeah,
video, you know, the sneakers releasing every week video, but like what keeps
yeah.
you, you know,
I
motivated?
mean, I love creating.
Mhm.
I think that's just a natural part of who I am, and it's why I gravitated towards YouTube, just the creative side of me. But also, I mean, I still love sneakers. Like, I still legitimately love sneakers, and I love
Mhm.
the process. I love the styles. I love the tech. Like, that's still a passion point for me, and to be able to share that information is dope. I'm in a very privileged position and I don't take it for granted. So I use what I know and share what I know to hopefully inform, someone else of, help them make a better buying decision.
I I'm always preach on here. Just, you know, I think that the biggest thing about sneakers is that we enjoy excess, right? It's like
Mhm.
we can't get enough. It's like I buy one, I'm already thinking about, all right, but this shoe's coming out next week. I got to
Yep.
get that too, you know. Over like the over like the length of time of you collecting, have you seen or felt like sneakers were being appreciated correctly, or were you like, was there, I mean, towards you yourself, you know, like were you also getting into the habit of like, okay, I'm not appreciating these sneakers, and so like I got to take a step back?
Yeah, I often so part of it is I don't know if I would feel that I feel that way and I don't.
Hmm.
The reason I say that I don't is because this is my job.
Right.
So I have to know about sneakers. I have to know what's coming out. I have to be able to tell people about it.
Hmm.
But at the same time, it's like, but do I need to have every single thing? I don't need to have every single thing
Hmm.
because I have so many here. I have shoes here that I've probably worn one time and I've had for 10, 15 years kind of thing. Why don't I just wear those? You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Kind of thing. And to be honest, I wear probably 5 to 7 pair of sneakers that I really wear,
Mm-hmm.
and everything else just kind of is like special occasion. Like, oh, I'm going to a sneaker event. Okay, let me pull something out. Oh, I'm gonna do something on TV. Okay, let me pull something out. But
You're over there with the archives, and you're like,
yeah, yeah. But if it's like my everyday wear,
yeah.
like my everyday wear is like the Adidas 4D,
Hmm.
Ultra Boost, some Sambas, the All Star Jordan ones from New Orleans. I forgot what they're called.
Oh, I don't know.
Um,
Not the
the
gold ones.
no, like the iridescent ones from New Orleans. Like
Oh,
there's
okay.
like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know what you're
I
talking
can't,
about.
the reimagined ones. I've been wearing those a lot.
Hmm.
What else have I been wearing? The Jordan MA2.
That
Um,
was when that dropped. I was telling people, y'all gotta cop this one. I
yeah,
don't know, that model was just like it always called. I don't know why it called for me. I never bought a pair, but I was like, these are dope. These are gonna be sleeper sneaker of the year. Like I was telling people, telling people all that about the MA2.
yeah, they've turned into like my like you go into the store, put those on. You want to do some yard work, put those on. They've turned into those. Like mine are trashed,
Hmm.
but like they're comfy and I wear them a lot. And the other thing I wear, like if I'm going like trying to like dress something up a little bit, I'll either wear like the Sakai waffle, like I have an all black pair of the
Hmm.
Sakai waffles, or I'll wear the John Elliott LeBrons. And like those are the sneakers probably that I wear more than anything else. That's
I mean,
no,
that's
that's
a bigger rotation than me. It's me. It's literally that shoe right there, right there.
oh
The
yeah, yeah,
the J Tip Sauconys, because they don't have a box, and I just like I can't like if the shoe is out, I'm gonna put it on. Like that's
right.
the type of situation. And then it's the general purpose Tom Sachs. Like I'm just switching between those two.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Like I wore those because I have the white pair, and I wore them to this Danny Brown concert I went to a couple of days ago, and I was just like, no, I shouldn't have done that. Now they're like they got
Yeah, you
stepped
wearing
on
all
and
white
stuff.
shoes to a
Yeah.
concert, bro. You asking for it?
Yeah. The but it's the rotation of like I mean, look, I had Morgan Sneaker Room is this guy on TikTok. I don't know if you're familiar. Maybe you are. Uh, but he has, I think he's at 600 pairs, and I'm just like, what are you doing? Like I had him on the podcast this past week. And I'm like, at one point, where you're gonna be like, all right, I'm good. I don't need to buy for the next, a year or so. And he's like, I hear that, but I ain't gonna stop. I was just like, all right, like, what's going on with you, bro? Like,
Yeah, it's. I mean, there's stuff that comes out and you want it. Like I've actually been good this last month because I
Mhm.
want the Fear threes. So, but I'm like, okay, they're sitting. Okay, hey, you know what? You don't have to spend 220 or whatever it is. Just chill.
Just
Just
wait.
wait.
Yeah.
You might get them for 180. You might get them
Hmm.
for 150. Same thing. Like I want the Midnight Navy threes that are coming out. Is it this week? Next week.
Next
Next
week,
week. The
yeah.
Midnight Navy threes that are coming out
Hmm.
next week. I'm like, all right, maybe these will sit like the Fear threes. So like, don't rush and buy them. Just chill. Just chill and cool back, cool out. Don't rush. But at the same time, it's like, oh, I should probably get them and I can tell a story about them. But I was like, maybe I'll just wait because if nobody's checking for them, what's the point of doing content about them if nobody's checking for them?
Yeah, I
So
mean, it's interesting. Like the Fear Threes, I mean, I don't know if it's just maybe it's just like a down year, down end of the year for Jordan or something like that, but or it's maybe just I think we are oversaturated at this point, but the Fear Threes, they weren't like out of the Fear Pack, and everybody I've spoken to have agreed with me. Out of the whole Fear Pack, it's either the fives or the fours, and I've never heard people be like, "Oh, I need the threes." When they first came out, I had the
right.
fives when they first dropped,
Yeah, I have
and
the fours. I have the fours.
and
So
yeah, I mean, look, I bought the fives and I never wore them, and I was just like, these are just rotting away in my closet. I'm gonna have to.
oh wow. Oh no, no. I wore the fours so much that they squeak now. So I can't
Mm,
I can't wear them anymore. I
that
try to do the little baby powder thing because they say put baby powder in them to stop them from squeaking, and they still squeak. So I think it's
I'm
like inside the air bubble is loose. The glue came loose, so I don't.
I've never heard that trick in my life, man.
Yeah, they say put baby powder in the underneath the insole,
Uh-huh.
and that stop them when they're squeaking. But it didn't help mine. I think mine is like the actual. I think the actual bubble is loose or something.
Mm. I mean, look, everything's getting re-retroed. As Russ said, we going every a retro of a retro is coming soon. So
Yeah, I mean, we're at that point. They're what did I just see? They're retroing
the olive, not the olive, the
the
Oreo
oh
eights.
they're trying to bring back like lunar, like the Nike
Oh,
lunar what is it called?
lunar lawn.
Lunar Rome, I think it's called something
Oh,
like
interesting.
that. It's something. What is it? Now I got to think of it. Hold on, I'm gonna look it up.
Let me look
Lunar
it up.
something, but they have it in like this alabaster
Uh huh.
colorway. Um, and it's not yeah, it's called the Nike Lunar Rome, and
Mm.
it's not like it's not a actual retro, but it's like a retro style of lunar with like an old bottom. It's an interesting, but it's like a mix of retro sneakers that they're trying to make a new sneaker. It's weird, but I like it at the same time because out that 2012 2013
hmm
time when in sneakers when like lunar was everything, like lunar was
Everything.
every sneaker, like that look. I liked that look, and so this just kind of makes me feel like, oh, okay, I remember that style and the old look of it. It's like, oh, all right.
Yeah, I mean, I remember it was like they did that new model. It was a running shoe. I bought it. It was the blue shoe. They did when they had that. Remember when Nike had the Nike Plus workout thing?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so they dropped that whole pack of sneakers with it, and it was all this blue and black
Ooh, yeah,
color.
like the
Yeah,
midsoles. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I loved every shoe that they dropped during that time. Even the
yeah.
Hyper Dunk with the big black and blue joint.
Yep,
I was
the
like,
tip inside of it, bro.
mm-hmm.
That was it. That was
That's
it.
that.
So these to give that feel.
Yeah, I mean, look, if Nike brings back the Nike band,
Nike Band had us on lock, not knowing at all what it meant or what it was doing, but it had us on lock.
we were like, I gotta get my fuel up. I gotta get my fuel up.
Yeah.
Did you cover that
Arbitrary.
launch? I feel like you covered that launch.
Yeah, yeah, I was there. I went to the launch. The most arbitrary results ever, but we was on it.
That look, Nike's always trying to get because even when during pandemic they gave the Nike training app like for free, and I was like, I
Hmm.
was doing every workout. I was
Yep,
sweating all over the floor over here.
that's what you need to do, bro. Got to try to get right.
And I was like I'm thinking like, okay, Nike's gonna hook us up, we doing all this workout, getting all these achievements, maybe we get a little instant access or something like
So
that.
some little exclusive access or something. Nah, they just like just work out. That's
Do
all
this
you do.
yoga.
This is your gift, your help.
Man, Jacques, like the I was wanting to talk about like the inspiration into just the closet content that you've been doing as of late, because
Mhm.
I've been digging it. I love it. I think that I feel like another brand we won't talk about copied off of you as well on that one. But what was your inspiration into switching up and doing that?
Um, I wanted to create something that allowed sneakerheads that are passionate about their shoes to tell stories about why they have that particular shoe.
Hmm.
I wanted something more than just being like, "Oh, I got the Travis Scotts," or "Oh, I've got the Fresh Goods collab," or
Hmm.
"I have the Fragment collabs." Like, okay, like those are cool, and those are all those things are great. They're fantastic.
Hmm.
Um, but I wanted some deeper storytelling, and I saw Caleb Simpson on TikTok. He does the apartments where he
Yeah.
goes into people's apartments, and so I was like, I want to do that for sneakers.
You need a you need a bed version of when he jumps on
Yeah,
the
you already
people's
jumps on the
bed.
bed.
You gotta be
Well,
like, can I put these on for you?
so like my part of that is I do a part of the video where I say like I have these here where I'm like, oh, okay, yo, so what's the story with
Yeah.
these? And I pick up a
Hmm.
pair of their shoes and I do what's the story with these? That's my version of like jumping on the bed.
Hmm.
Um, And so like that's really what the inspiration came from. It's really trying to get people to tell the stories of their sneakers. Like Adrian told the story about, you know, how he was in Air Force Ones and then he was like off them for a little while, but now like it's the sneaker that he wears the most. Like he
Mm-hmm.
bought the J's and resell off white dunks, but well, he really went back to what he loved, which was the Air Force One. And now that's the sneaker that he wears the most. Or, you know, what's who got who
AC Cooper did the these
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
even
yeah,
drop.
yeah, yeah.
These never came
Aaron
out.
talked about his shoes, the shoes that never came out.
Mm-hmm.
Romy talked about the Stan Smith. Is she got a tattoo of the Stan Smith over her arm because it's the shoe that she remembers that she relates to her dad, and so that's why she got those. So those type of stories that show people that sneakers is more than just like, oh, they're just a pair of sneakers. No,
Right.
these things have stories and they have memories attached to them. And I want to be able to help people tell those stories, and that's what the Sneaker Closet series is all
Welcome to this podcast.
about.
I mean that's what I love about it because it definitely we eye to eye on that one. I think
Yeah,
that I mean even with the brand with this podcast, I think everybody has that like one pair. Doesn't matter who you are, you have one pair that you're just like mom, dad, or you know I saved up
yeah,
all my ducats for this. I shine shoes. You know,
right. Yeah,
um,
that's it. That's it.
that I mean, but you've gotten to get into some really cool closets and like
Yeah,
the I always found that like really inspirational in terms of just like being able to I guess put somebody's life in like their closet their
yeah,
sneaker career just in like a couple minute video and it still relays like I mean an hour long episode of this podcast, you know.
yeah,
It's a great talent. The like and it also keeps you intrigued of like, oh, I can't wait what's the next closet he's going to be able to get into because the way
yeah,
you started off is just like he's just it looks like you're walking towards a random person and then you're like,
yeah,
wait a minute.
yeah. Yeah, we're working on some cool people that I hope we're able to get. It's surprisingly hard to get people to let you come into their houses.
Mhm.
Which I mean,
I
I
don't know
guess
how Caleb does it, man.
yeah, I shouldn't say surprisingly. I should say it is, you know, it's naturally like people are gonna be guarded. But we're working on a couple of really good ones for next year. Like I think we have one, maybe two more for this year, and then we're gonna take like a month break, and then we're
Mhm.
gonna come back in the new year, and I think we're gonna have hopefully start off with some really exciting ones.
All right, you heard it here first. Tinker Hatfield will be the first video.
Ah, yeah,
Michael
I would
Jordan is the
love
second video.
that. Yeah, that'd be crazy. There's nowhere to go after that, so we got to save them guys for the final episode.
That's the one where you'd be like, all right, closing up shop, we're good.
Yeah,
We don't need to do these
yeah.
anymore. Imagine being able to be like Michael Jordan's like, I saw your videos. You got to come to my closet, and then you
Gotta
get to
go.
go to his closet.
That'd be crazy. I don't even want to think about it. I wouldn't even want to do it because like there's nowhere I could go after that.
I mean, these
I want this show to continue going, so I can't even do it. I gotta stop.
you're gonna be. That's the one you declined. You're like, nah, man, we can't do this one. I'm
Yeah, I
sorry,
was like,
we booked up.
I can't even. I appreciate the look, and we can do something else, but I just can't. I just can't. We gotta if we're gonna do that, we gotta do more than just a little 30 minute 30-second video. We gotta do like an hour long sit down talk.
You're gonna be like, I'm gonna sell this to Netflix
Yeah,
inside
yeah,
MJ's closet.
yeah. Gotta be more than just a minute and 30 seconds.
So I think one of your well now you know you talk a lot about golf sneakers and like ever since you started doing content and it's I mean it started from Eastside Golf
Hmm.
that the fours on that were you on the Hulu doc?
I was not on the Hulu doc.
I felt like I thought I saw you on the Hulu doc, but
I mean,
the
they might have used a clip of me or something, but
mhm.
I wasn't interviewed for the Hulu doc.
Well, hopefully you get residuals for that one. But but the I mean, what was it about golf? Because you're the first person that I've had here that talks about golf. So like, what was it about golf that pulled you in? No, more known as I will say it, a predominantly white sport, but the
Yeah,
you know the I think I'm cool with James Davis, who's a comedian, and
Yeah,
he
yeah,
did a
James.
yeah, he did a show called, I forgot the name of the show, but he did a show on Comedy Central, and he did a full episode on why people in the hood should golf more. And
Oh,
it,
that's amazing.
yeah, I'll remember it like later or something. But uh, we talked about like he talked about like why it's so how why golfing did not resonate with black people,
Mhm.
and how people pushed black people out into golf, but like what pulled you in.
Um, the thing that pulled me in was the challenge of the sport.
Hmm.
Um, like I'm pretty competitive. Like I mean I couldn't go to the league or anything like that in basketball, but like I felt like I could hold my own.
Hmm.
And in most other sports that I played, I felt like I could hold my own. But golf was like, nah, son. Like, I don't care who you are, and I don't care what you played before. It ain't
Hmm.
gonna be like that here. And that honestly was enough for me to be like, all right, well, challenge accepted. Let's get it in. And then once I started playing and it became like the social aspect of it, like there's always people asking like, "Oh, what's your dream course to play and where do you want to go?" And like my answer to that question is always like my dream course is the course that I'm playing with all my homies.
Hmm.
Like that's the dream course for me. It doesn't matter where we are as long as I'm there with my homeboys and like we having a good time, like me and my dogs we playing,
Hmm.
I'm good. Like it could be the worst course in the world or it could be the best course in the world. Long as my boys is there, like I'm good.
Hmm.
So that became the part of it, and that's the part that I love about it so much now is like being able to play with my friends and hang with my friends. It's basically like my way of hanging out, like in adulthood, like being able to still hang out with your boys
Yeah.
and act a fool and clown each other and tell jokes and share experiences. Like that's why it means so much to me now.
No, I mean that's dope. I mean, that's pickup basketball. That's what
Yeah, yeah.
when you roll up with your peoples, and this is just like you're just like, all right, now we about to let's play, but we also gonna have fun.
Yeah, we're gonna also have a good time, get a good
Yeah.
sweat in. Yeah, yeah.
The what was it like just witnessing Jordan Brand jump into golf like that?
I mean, for me, it was amazing because
Hmm.
it's like the blending of the two worlds that I was super passionate about.
Hmm.
For me, I like we all knew that Jordan played golf,
Right.
but to see Jordan actually step into that world and then to see them actually start to retro basketball shoes and turn them into golf shoes like that, I mean, I couldn't ask for anything better because,
Hmm.
I'm a guy that loves basketball, a guy that loves golf, and now those two worlds are like mashing together. It's like, I mean, it was the perfect combination for me.
That I mean, and I also think Eastside Golf does an amazing job with their storytelling. Like
Yeah.
it brings you right in, and like even in that Hulu doc, I didn't know a lot about them. Besides, I met them in person last year. Yeah, I met them in person last year, and I was like trying to like figure out more about them, hopefully to get them on an episode. But O was like, "Yeah, I'll do your podcast," and then that ain't happened. But the they're just like it's such a foreign world. I live in a city. I'm from New York, so we don't really have golf courses outside of Trump's golf course, and then another one in like the Bronx or something like that.
I'm about to say, don't you guys have like Bethpage out there and
Yeah,
Liberty's right across the
right.
river?
But when
I got
you
some nice joints.
yeah, I mean, but when you're a kid in the city, they don't talk about golf out here. It's ball.
Nah,
Is it?
it's the same here. I didn't know about golf until I was an adult.
I mean, I want to play golf. Hopefully, we'll link up. And hit the links.
Let's
That
do it.
let's do it.
Right.
I could. I used to go to driving range, like the driving range at Chelsea all the time. So
Yeah.
maybe I could hit a little 200 real
There
quick.
you go, bro. That's all you need. That's all you need. Like, well, we ain't none of us professionals. As long as you can get move the ball forward, that's all that matters. Just move the ball forward.
And then I'm the only one hitting trees and stuff. Like, yeah, we moving it forward.
Hey man, there's a saying in golf that nobody cares about a bad golfer. All they care about is a slow golfer.
Hmm.
Long as you ain't playing slow, everybody's good. It don't matter where you hit the ball. Long as you ain't slow.
Listen, I mean, we'll see. Well, when we link up, we'll see. But the the connection that was made between that and like introducing it into sneakers and then releasing that for like it is and I was telling him when I met him, I was like, you know, there are some people that are going to come on this podcast and be like, you know, what my first kicks were the Eastside Golf fours, and it's you
Yeah.
know, and you know, it's the fact that now that shoe, and I think it's really hard because like I'm super into like when it comes to the word grail, it's got to be like a grail, right?
Yeah.
Like it's got to be like you know, some shoe that means a lot of many things, and it all just means a lot of many things to you yourself instantly, right?
Yeah.
And so that four to a lot of kids or a lot of people was an instant grail because it's something that's never happened before ever,
Yep.
you
Yep.
know. I don't know.
Yep.
Did you get a pair? I think you have a pair, right?
Not. No, I don't have the fours.
Get,
I have pretty much everything else they've done,
mhm.
but I don't have the fours.
Somebody get this man a four. Get
Ah,
him. Like well, I was trying to make it sound like somebody when it's like somebody get this man a club, and then instead it's like
oh
somebody
yeah.
get this man a four. The I mean, but it's wild that that actually happened, and you know, I think more people should definitely get into golfing in general, you know, or and especially in America, it's such a isolated sport that it there's so much more you can bring to it, and
Yeah.
even with like the match, which is that charity event that
Yeah.
the people do,
The proper
um,
one. Yeah.
yeah, it's just interesting. But uh, towards the end of the podcast, I do have another question I like to ask, and so I want you to visualize you as a kid about to get those neon 95s, right?
Hmm.
Now you're you right now, Jacques right now, transported right back, standing right behind young Jacques. What would you tell him?
What would I tell young version of myself? Um, honestly, I probably wouldn't tell him anything.
Really, just let him rock.
Let him rock because what I mean. I have my life has been blessed
Hmm.
for lack of a better word. So anything that I tell him could change that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't want to change. I don't want to change my trajectory at all. I don't want to give him any insider info. Um, you know, I don't want to push him one way or another. I think part of me doing all the things that I have done are all a result of the things that I did before that. So any changing any of that might change the chain, so to speak, of
Hmm.
events that got me to where I am. So for me to be like, yo, these shoes are gonna change your life, like that's a lot of pressure to put on a pair of
All right, all
shoes.
right. Let me add a little stipulation here. It doesn't change anything, but
Doesn't change
something.
anything.
Yeah. What would you tell him?
If it doesn't change anything, um, I would tell him to what would I tell him? Um, I probably would have told him to don't be afraid to wear them
Hmm.
because when you only got a couple pairs,
Right.
you precious with them with the good joints. You
Hmm.
precious with them. You precious with them.
You tucking those, you could be like, nah, all right, we wearing this a couple times. That's it.
Yeah, yeah. Like just be like, yo, like don't be afraid to wear them. Don't be afraid to wear them. Enjoy the moments. Like like use them to make memories.
Hmm.
Use them to make more memories. Don't let your fear of messing them up be a reason why you don't wear something that you're really passionate about, something that you really like, and something that you really love. And I was, yeah. So that would be my advice to wear your sneakers.
Wear your kicks. I mean, look. Thank you so much for jumping on. I forgot to shout out the reason why this happened. Kari, shout out to Kari.
Shout out to Kari.
You know, it's my guy. Really appreciate you jumping on, Jacques. And for everybody out there, you know what we say each week: wear your kicks.
Absolutely.
Peace.
Peace.